Two pals, the Sentinel of Liberty and the Rogue of Russia. Who wins? Time to find out in Comic Book Fights. Hi, I'm Jason Inman.
And I'm Ashley Victoria Robinson.
And this is Comic Book Fights, where we put two comic book characters against each other in a mano-a-mano fight. But we don't just do a fight, because that would be boring ATF. You know what that means. Go look it up on Urban Dictionary. But we also talk about the best stories for each character and the best costume for each character. So it becomes a comic book fight around the entire character and their nougaty center. But before we get to this fight for this week, we just want to remind you that we're going to be at San Diego Comic-Con on the Saturday of San Diego Comic-Con on July 21st. We're going to be at two places, so we want you all to come out and meet us. We're going to be at the Action Lab booth at 1735. That's the booth number. From noon to 2:30, we will have our comic book Jupiter Jet. Come by, talk about DC TV, talk about who should win this fight. We don't care what you want to talk about, but if you can't make that signing, we're also going to be at the Geekscape booth. That is booth 3919 from 3:30 to 4:30. So Saturday, July 21st, come by San Diego Comic-Con and say hello to both of us. We want to meet all you guys out in person.
Can I tell you something?
Sure.
That intro to for these characters is my favorite one you've done yet.
Sure. Cool. You know what my favorite thing is? Let's talk about the characters right now.
Yes.
It is Captain America versus Bucky. Ding, 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 ding. I will be defending Steve Rogers' Captain America because, as a vet, it's only right. Ashley, who are you defending?
Bucky!
Yeah, that's right. The traitor.
I love him.
Okay.
Bucky with the good
you
hair.
have very Bucky-ish like hair.
I know. Well, that might be heralding something.
So my nomad hair. Okay, interesting. So we will determine at the end of each round who is the winner of each round. The best of three wins. We are going to act like adults and adults, and we are going to judge each other's arguments because, you know, there needs to be more of that on the internet.
Adulting?
Yeah, learn from our lesson, friends. Okay, round one. Who wins in a fight? Bucky or Captain America? Ashley, go.
Well, the thing about the Winter Soldier,
I drank from Wolverine Cup.
Good Canadian boy, is that he has the same military training as Cap, plus all of his espionage-based Winter Soldier training.
We should clarify really quickly. I just realized we did not clarify this. Which version of Cap, which version of Bucky? Kind of the all together? We're going all versions of the character.
We're going all versions.
Movie and comics.
Yeah,
okay. Because that does change the argument quite a bit for Bucky.
It's sure. He is a master strategist as well as a spy. Mm-hmm. He has a vibranium arm that is strong enough to catch Cap's shield, in some universes to punch Cap's shield and dent it. He's a skilled sniper. He's a much better marksman than Steve, even before he gets Winter Soldier training. During their first conflict in the Winter Soldier movie, he disarms Cap and is able to use Steve's surprise as an advantage. He's able to manipulate Steve's emotions better than Steve is able to manipulate his. And while you might not think of that initially as a combat skill, I think it definitely gives him an upper hand. He was a better fighter before either of them went into the army. Steve is not a naturally skilled fighter, especially pre-Captain America injections. Winter Soldier is so skilled, in fact, that after Captain America died, spoiler alert, for like a decade ago, he was the logical person to take up the mantle and to lead the Avengers, proving that he's at least as good as Cap, if not better, depending on your taste. And he doesn't need super soldier serum to be a plausible threat. So those are all the points that I have for why Winter Soldier is the best. Jason, tell me about Captain America.
Well, you just started off my argument right there. Captain America has the super soldier serum throughout his body. It is permanently enhanced all of his body. It is metabolized in his body. It has made him at the peak of human potential. Now, in the MCU, Bucky has a shoddy copy from Hydra of that serum. We actually don't have any confirmation that Bucky is a super soldier. We can just sort of guess that he's a super soldier, but
I think you can infer that.
Sure, but in the comic books, he has no super soldier serum. He is a normal mortal with normal strength and just a super strong arm. So to me, he is a copy of Captain America, making him slightly weaker. Now, Steve Rogers has been able to sustain lifts of 800 pounds. 800 pounds. Now, this strength also extends to his legs, allowing him to be able to leap 20 feet in a single bound and 10 feet into the air just without a running start. That's pretty high, 10 feet into the air.
If we learned anything from Civil War, Cap don't use his legs.
I mean, he does a spin kick and knocks Spider-Man right in the head. What are you talking about?
There's when Tony's trying to figure out his weaknesses, he goes, "Go for the legs." He doesn't move his legs.
All right. Captain America is a master tactician and strategist. He has led many men into war. He's led many Avengers teams into cosmic adventures against allies and abilities that who the hell knows how he was gonna, but Cap won every time. So Cap's experience, even though Bucky started out with more experience, Cap's experience over the course of the Avengers has exceeded Bucky's now. Also, in the comic books, Captain America is the one that taught Bucky. Captain America taught Bucky everything he knows in the comic books. And in the MCU, Bucky only wins the fight in Winter Soldier because Steve humbly decides not to punch him.
He still wins.
But Steve just doesn't fight him.
He still wins!
And in Civil War, Steve pulls a helicopter from taking off to stop Bucky.
And pulls his own shoulder out of his socket.
So in the MCU, we've kind of seen Steve take out Bucky a couple of times already. In the comic books, it's no contest because Bucky just doesn't have the strength to keep up with Steve. All right, final arguments, Ashley. Let's hear some final thoughts, hearing all the evidence.
I really think that this is going to be a similar argument to like a Batman and Superman. You're coming down to skill, strategy, hiding in the shadows, intelligence versus brute strength, leadership qualities, and experience.
Yeah. They're also pretty evenly matched.
They are evenly matched, and they were always designed, even when Bucky was the sidekick, they were designed to complement each other and to serve a similar purpose narratively, just at different ages. So I really love Bucky, and I really stand for Winter Soldier, but I would concede this to Cap. Just the Super Soldier Serum on brute strength, when you're talking about a fight, it's going to come down to a fist fight, and I think Cap might take Bucky.
I mean, to me, it's no contest. It's Cap all the way, but it's Cap by just a hair.
If Bucky doesn't drop stealthily on time, take him.
But a little bit of it, I actually convinced myself of my own argument. Well, thank you, me. But was Cap is kind of think about Cap fighting the Kree-Skrull War. Cap has a little bit of experience that has made him think outside the box that I think Bucky won't be able to get around. Bucky is very Earth-based, with the exception of that really weird storyline where they made him the protector of Earth. Ugh.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give the point to Captain America. You're giving it to Captain America?
Will, yeah.
All right, so we're going to give Captain America the point for who wins in a fight. Ding, ding.
Ding, ding, ding.
Okay, let's go to round 2. Who has the best stories? Ashley, many of these are going to be Captain America stories. I'd love to hear what they are.
So the book called Winter Soldier, and that storyline is universally accepted as one of the greatest Captain America stories of all time.
Yep, happened in Captain America.
It hinges entirely on the reinvention and the reintroduction of Bucky's character, because we didn't think Bucky was ever coming back. And not only does he come back, he comes back as like the coolest, most interesting, mind-blowing version of this crappy Jimmy Olsen knockoff.
There are 3 characters in comic books that were always supposed to stay dead. They said this through the 90s. And the characters that are always supposed to stay dead are Bucky, Jason Todd, and Uncle Ben. 2 of these have, this is not a flip-off, 2 of these have not come back to life.
Yeah. And actually the 2 who came back to life came back cooler than before they died.
Right. Very similar, actually.
But just the fact that one of the greatest Captain America stories ever told is called Winter Soldier, I think kind of gives Bucky a leg up to begin with. Now, he does suffer sort of the same fate as Thor, and in the Thor versus Superman army, there's just less Winter Soldier-centric stories than there are Captain America stories. However, the death of Captain America story that is immediately following Civil War...
All these stories have Captain America in the title, I'm just saying.
Look,
I just keep
there's
going.
like 3 Winter Soldier solo series, but that's the story arc where Bucky becomes Cap. He's the first person in a main continuity, not a what if, not a can you ever imagine, not an alternate universe, who takes on the mantle of Captain America.
Not technically true, but I'll let you continue.
You talking about Werewolf Cap?
No, actually talking about U.S. agent guy.
Oh,
and,
okay, yeah. You're
but
right.
It's fine. It's fine.
But then let me
as a lead
in
of
a
as a
long
as a
term in the lead of a series
as a lead of a solo series.
as a lead of the Avengers.
Yeah.
Because Bucky is again just as good, if not better, than Steve, and I think that says a lot about a character that was reintroduced like 5 seconds before this started. That mantle didn't go to anyone else. And then the Winter Soldier movie is held up as one of the best MCU movies.
What's the full title of that movie again?
The Winter Soldier.
I don't think so.
Captain America, the Winter Soldier. But I want to point out that Winter Soldier is on screen for 12 minutes in that movie.
You're just making my argument here.
He's for 12 minutes, and he's one of the fan favorite characters. That's one of the greatest MCU movies, and it hinges on 12 minutes of Sebastian Stan's performance. And I think, is it a Captain America movie? Yes, that's a fair argument. This is a Captain America derivative character, but the impact that this character has, I think, is tremendous and cannot be ignored, whether or not the movie's called Captain America, Winter Soldier. You and your
the Winter Soldier.
Technicalities. So tell me about some great Steve stories.
I'm going old school because Cap's got
are.
some good old school stories. I'm going to tell you about the storyline called Captain America No More. You don't know about this storyline? Then you need to learn about Mark Grunwald, the amazing Marvel editor, also the creator of the Squadron Supreme, one of the great writers of comic books. Basically, in this run, Captain America quit being Captain America and he adopted a new identity. He becomes Nomad in this storyline. That's where this comes from. He has a showdown in the White House. It is a pure storyline about Cap having to confront his ideals. How does he win a fight where his fists won't win? Another storyline is Operation Rebirth. Mark Waid and Ron Garney's original run on the character. It quickly took the character back to basics. He was fighting the Red Skull, but then he had to decide when the Red Skull becomes a good guy and he is the only salvation of the Red Skull, can he get over his preconceptions and save the Red Skull's life when technically that's the right thing to do, even though he is, again, Captain America's best storylines are all about his moral quandaries here. Another one is Castaway in Dimension Z, It's a Rick Remender storyline. It throws Steve Rogers into this other dimension, this artificial world created by Arnim Zola, where he actually raises one of Zola's clones to be his son. The interesting thing about this storyline is it is another man out of time storyline for Captain America. He spends a decade in this dimension.
Old man Cap, yeah.
Yes, basically, when everybody else, well, Cap doesn't age because of the super soldier serum.
We grow some beard in that.
But
though.
everybody, basically, he's gone for seconds. And so he has to adjust again to another period where he has lost time. Now, all of your storylines as well are Captain America storylines, which to me, I can use as well. Captain America Winter Soldier is
I don't think that's
the
a fair
best,
argument at all.
Is the best
That's
MCU
not
movie.
fair.
It's called Captain America, and Captain America the Winter Soldier is one of the better Captain America storylines. I just gave you more of a buffet. Let's go to the final arguments here, Ashley.
One of these characters was never a Nazi, and it's Bucky Barnes.
That's a fair final point.
And all the best Captain America stories are Winter Soldier stories. I think it has to go to Bucky, man.
I will concede this point. Although I think you are right because, man, it is tough to beat Winter Soldier. Now, I am bending over to give this one to you a little bit because this is Cap's story. Captain America the Winter Soldier happens in the Captain America solo run, and it's more about Cap than it is about Bucky. But you are correct that Bucky is an integral part of those storylines. It hinges
on the reintroduction of that character.
It hinges on Bucky, and I, to be honest with you, I'm surprised you didn't bring up some of Bucky's Captain America run where he's Captain America, because those are some great stories.
They are, but I think he's more defined by being Winter Soldier,
Sure.
so a lot of my arguments stick to that persona.
I will give it to Bucky. Who are you going to give it to?
I'm giving it to Bucky.
All right, so 1 point Bucky. Ding, ding. 1 point Cap. Let's go into the final argument. We're all tied up. Who has the best costume? Are we really going to argue this one?
It's obviously Winter Soldier. It's a way...
All right, go ahead. Give your arguments.
Don't tweet me. The Captain America costume is dated and lame. And Bucky... The Winter Soldier costume is cooler, it's darker, it's sleeker.
Ashley B. Robinson.
The arm is freaking cool. The star on the arm is cool. He's got better hair. And the best Captain America costume is Bucky Cap's costume. So I think if he can do Winter Soldier better and Captain America better than Steve, it's gotta be Bucky, man. It's not as cheesy as Cap, and I think the fact that he managed to update the Golden Age Bucky costume into what became Winter Soldier is a pretty impressive design feat. Now, that's fair.
It's not quite the Golden Age Bucky.
They're only lifting certain elements, but
basically the mask.
The color scheme is the same, the mask is the same, the longer hair is the same, and if you can take a costume that's that lame and make it cool, it's pretty impressive. Tell me about why...
Young Bucky didn't have long hair.
Tell me about... He's got longer hair than Steve does.
Well, yeah, but he doesn't have the shoulder length
No,
hair.
he doesn't. Tell me about Star Spangled Steve.
Winter Soldier doesn't have a costume. I remember somebody using that argument. Winter Soldier doesn't have a costume. Even in the MCU, Winter Soldier doesn't have a costume. His only costume is his arm with the thing, with the star. He basically just wears black and gray jackets and cargo pants.
What do you call Nomad?
Black
top, black cargo pants?
But I'm not arguing for Nomad. I'm arguing for Captain America.
You brought up Nomad in your story.
By the way, that Nomad has a 70s disco costume with a yellow cape. You want to bring that in this argument? That makes it a plus. No. Captain America has one of the most iconic costumes in all of comic books. It stands out. It is the American flag. It is dated, but Superman's costume is also dated. Doesn't not mean that it is not a great costume.
You can't bring Superman into Captain America.
I can bring whatever I want into this debate. Who gives a damn? You're trying to say that young Bucky has long hair. He doesn't have long hair.
He does have long hair.
Show a picture of Bucky. No long hair.
Yes.
Okay. I don't know where the hell you're finding this long hair Bucky picture, but they're okay. The Ultimates did a version of his classic costume. The Avengers did a version of his classic costume. It's the same argument as that they haven't even they have not changed it that much. It's still the stars and stripes. It still has the blue. It still has the red stripes on the stomach. It still has the A on the forehead. Every version of Captain America, with the exception of the big boobed Rob Liefeld terrible version, always has the A on the forehead. It is iconic. It stands out. Everybody knows that costume from the very first time it appeared on Captain America #1, where he punched Hitler in the damn jaw. And I say if any costume punches Hitler in the jaw, it deserves to be best costume. All right, final arguments.
One of these characters is a Nazi, and the other one is Bucky.
That has nothing to do with this costume.
I know.
Winter Soldier wears a black jacket.
And he looks great.
A black jacket, by the way, that he has to cut one of the arms off of to make it work for his arm.
You don't think he's got a tailor?
He wears half a hoodie or a sweater vest thing. That's not a costume. He actually suffers from what a lot of modern comic book characters suffer from. I love Winter Soldier, and I love Bucky's that is a fair point. Bucky does have the best Captain America costume. I mean, I have an action figure of it.
Yes, you do.
It's right here.
Yeah.
You can see it. I love it's also because it's designed by Alex Ross, who's amazing.
I mean, yeah.
But Winter Soldier is problematic of the idea of modern comic book characters nowadays don't have costumes.
Especially in a post X-Men film universe.
Dead on.
I love Winter Soldier. I love the look of Winter Soldier. I think it's sleek. I think it's cool. I think it's hard to argue with the iconography of Captain America because, dare I say, like Superman, it's one of those things that's recognizable at 50 paces. But Bucky does have...
specifically 50
he
paces.
Does only at 50
Not
paces.
60, only 50.
Not 51, not 49.
You gotta use binoculars if you go to 51.
That's how far you gotta walk for a duel, right? 50 paces.
Okay.
I know it's 5.
All right, I'm giving it to Captain America.
I'm giving it to Cap.
All right,
as
so
well.
let's make it a score.
Yeah.
We have 2 points for Cap because he gets best. He wins the fight and he has best costume. But Bucky has the best storyline. The winner is Captain America. Da, 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 da. I'm saluting you, Cap. I'm saluting you. I did you proud, my friend. Happy late 4th of July.
Happy late birthday.
Happy late birthday.
Born
That's
on the 4th
right.
of July.
That's right. You know, this America. That's all you got to say.
Russia?
Go down to the comments and tell us what future comic book fights you'd like to see. If we use your idea in a future video, of course, we'll shout you out. While you're down there, click subscribe.
And for more exclusive geeky content, check out patreon.com/Jawiin. Come join us in the Hall of Justice and be a super friend.
Thanks for watching. See you later, Patriots.